TGIM, everyone. Everything is all right, isn't it? Hope you had a great Christmas in July last week. Oh, ho, ho, right? 2 weekends ago, Guylaine, my wife and I were walking around Crown Center in Kansas City. And to be honest, I wasn't feeling my best. I was a little under the weather, sinus crud, and also had a few things weighing on my mind. Kind of wishing a couple of situations in life were a little different. Those moments where your mind starts asking, why now? Why me? Why us? Why them? So many good people with real challenges these days. And how can I help? What can I do? I'm not immune to those feelings either. So I typically, maybe pray silent praises within. But that Saturday morning, as I was walking casually with my first wife in a slow celebration of now 45 years married, thank you very much, um, we wandered past the Grand Theater there at the Crown Center to see what was playing. And there it was. Jesus Christ Superstar. Wow. That is far out, man. Because that is a blast from the past for me. That musical came out when I was in high school, the early years, and um, one that we actually used to study in a class I was taking called Christian Ethics. Yeah, we had classes like that back then. And it happened to be during a season when I was full of all those usual teenage insecurities, shy, a bit of a loner. I looked nerdy, skinny, taller than many, long before being nerdy became fashionable. My refuge, though, was hockey. Playing hockey, that was where I felt most at home. I wasn't into partying much, the scene of that, or pot, which seemed pretty popular back then. So I didn't always feel like I fit in with many people. But our class listened to that whole album during that semester, and one song in particular seemed to find me at exactly the right time, and it was titled Everything's All Right. Funny how a song, a book, a conversation, or even a Bible verse can arrive just when we need it. And it would prove to be pivotal for me in many years and later ones, too. Because looking back now, so many of the things that felt absolutely overwhelming at 16, 17, yeah, 6, 7, there it is, they weren't permanent at all. The worries, the awkwardness, the loneliness at times, the uncertainty, they all had its season. And it reminds me of the story of a king who once asked a wise man for one sentence that would help him during both his great victories and his darkest days. The wise man thought for a moment and then simply replied, "This too shall pass." It wasn't to minimize the pain and to take away from the joy, but simply to remember that seasons change. Storms move through, feelings come and they go. Our circumstances change. But God, or whoever you turn to as refuge for your pain, remains. According to the Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes, it teaches, for everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So if today feels a little heavy or uncertain or unfair, let's take heart. This chapter isn't the whole story. And who knows? Maybe before long, like me, you'll look back and smile, and just like I did walking past that theater, and quietly whisper a prayer of gratitude or a positive affirmation to yourself that indeed everything's all right. And thank you, God. Lead with love, folks. Have an awesome week. Stay positive. Cheers and ciao.